What happened? Because you were supposed to be here as a leader of the DNC, and all of a sudden you're still in Hawaii.
As you know, I've been pretty vocal about calling out for more debates. I've been calling for more debates to give the American people the opportunity to hear from these presidential candidates, to listen to what they've got to say, to hold them accountable for their views and their positions. Because that differentiated from the decision that the chairwoman made from the DNC, I was told that I was no longer welcome to come to the debate.
And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. As the Democrats prepare for their first national debate, things may not be quite so rosy inside the Democratic National Committee. It's now being reported that DNC Chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz, unhappy with the behavior and focus of DNC Vice Chair and Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, who you just saw, has disinvited Gabbard from tonight's proceedings. Congressman Gabbard alleged, as you just saw, that she had been banned from the debate during an interview yesterday, only to cause some confusion when she suggested later in the day that the decision not to attend had been her own. She said she didn't want to be a distraction. As for Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she had loudly claimed that she never banned Congresswoman Gabbard from attending.
A vice chair of the DNC, simply because she's recommending more debates, you disinvited her from coming here?
Well, first, that's simply not true. Herein lies the problem. You and I are now talking about Tulsi Gabbard rather than concentrating on our candidates, on the issues that are important to Americans, on drawing that contrast that she referenced in her interview with you yesterday were important. You know, we're a big tent party. Well, you know, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. The Congresswoman has made her opinion clear on, you know, the process. And, unfortunately, you know, Congresswoman Gabbard continues to focus on process. Now, she was asked to focus on our candidates, and if she could keep the focus on our candidates, then, you know, that was what we thought was important.
So was Tulsi Gabbard, who happens to be one of the young up-and-comers in the Democratic Party, was she barred from attending her party's debate, or is this all some big old misunderstanding, Joe?
I know that we talk about Hillary Clinton's unlikability, and I know that I should be more professional about this, but I found Debbie Wasserman Schultz so profoundly unlikable. There's just nothing about her that is charming. There is nothing about her that I believe, and it has nothing to do with ideology or party. There is just something about this woman that I can't understand how she could be the chair of that party when there are so many better people out there. And the way this one was treated, of course it wasn't a misunderstanding. All right, this is the Politburo in action.
Well, the only thing, I would agree with that. The only thing that makes me wonder, and maybe somebody got to Tulsi, was she did, we heard what she said early in the day. She said she was disinvited, and then later she kind of changed the story. So I'm not sure.
Someone clearly got to her, and she realized that she may be better towing the party line. But isn't it democracy about speaking up about these issues? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous that someone would be disinvited based on something that they had to say.
Especially when she's the vice chairman, one of the vice chairmen of the party.
Well, and she's so likable. I mean, I think that she's a good contrast to Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and that I find her very likable, and I think most of America does.
Yeah, I find it shocking that Debbie Wasserman Schultz still occupies her position. She's presided over the truncation of this party to a place that it hasn't been since the 1920s. She was supposedly going to be thrown out of her position, and then she managed to retain it, even over the objections of the President of the United States, because she reportedly threatened to cry sexism, that she was being jettisoned from her office because of sexist antipathy towards women. And now we have really credible reports, I think, of this party chairman trying to stifle dissent within her own ranks. It is a really terrible look. It doesn't say very much for the party, and it suggests that she shouldn't be in this role.
As the only Democrat seated at this table, you may be surprised to know that I completely agree with everything you guys have said. I don't like her either. I have a little bit of a different reason. This is somebody who can't answer a question. Yeah. If you ask her a question about Hillary Clinton, if you say, did you know that Hillary Clinton got a new pair of shoes this morning? She doesn't answer the question. She launches into her prepared speech about Hillary Clinton. Did you know that Bernie Sanders got up and had eggs for breakfast? She launches into her Bernie Sanders. It's so annoying to me. This woman cannot answer a question. But to your point, Noah, you know, it used to be that the Democratic Party was the Big Tent party. It was the Republicans who would pretend to be a Big Tent, but they weren't. That is becoming a question mark now. It doesn't appear that the Democrats are such a Big Tent party when they're not allowing events to go forward. They're limiting the number of debates, and they're kicking out their own members of Congress and telling them they can't attend debates because they don't agree on everything. Are the Democrats now following in the footsteps of the GOP when it comes to inter-party warfare?
I think that for sure, but I think it's the leader. I don't think it's the Democrats. I think it is she that is the problem. And basing it on the fact that someone wants more than 6 debates and wants people to be able to hear the candidates seems to me as though trying to control the message. And what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
No, I disagree. I think there's an actual problem with the party. If the Republican Party wasn't in chaos constantly, we would be talking very much about the Democratic Party in decline. We have a party that is stifling dissent, that is stepping on opposition, that is reduced to regionalism, to little tiny pockets in urban centers and on the coasts. This is not a healthy party.
I'd hate to use a sports analogy here, but I'm going to use one anyway.
But you're going to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party reminds me of the New England Patriots if you take Tom Brady out of the equation. And if you take Hillary Clinton out of the equation, what is left? I mean, honestly, you would have Sanders, O'Malley, Chafee on that stage. There is no
The Democrats have no bench.
But wouldn't they have a bench if it weren't for Hillary Clinton, though? I mean, and the Patriots, if they didn't have Tom Brady, they'd have to build up somebody else for that position.
I think the reason
backup quarterback, trust me, he's fine.
Yeah, the reason they don't have a bench is because they've done such a poor job of electing governors in the states.
Oh, that's true.
That's where that bench comes from.
And losing state-level elections.
So the message I think we can give to DWS, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, time for you to go, girl. We don't want you anymore. And that's including the Democrat. It's just not happening. I do want to know what you think about the feud between Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Tulsi Gabbard. I always stress on Gabbard. I want to say Gabbard, the way it's spelled. Go to newsmaxtv.com/comments. Let us know what you have to say about it. Coming up, did Jeb Bush actually send a plant to a Trump rally?